Have you been told that humility is a virtue, that to be humble is to be noble, respected, even loved? Machiavelli would laugh at your downfall, because in the brutal game of power, humility isn't a virtue, it's a weapon used against you. In this video, we reveal how being humble might be the biggest lie that keeps you powerless, overlooked, and controlled. You've been told your whole life that humility is a virtue, that it makes you good, that it makes you likable, that it makes you moral. The priests preach it from the pulpit. The philosophers romanticize it as the mark of true wisdom. The poets write it into their heroes. But what if I told you this is all by design? What if humility isn't a virtue at all, but a political invention, crafted and promoted by the powerful to neutralize potential threats before they rise? Humility is not taught to protect you, it's taught to disarm you. When a man begins to grow, in knowledge, in power, in voice, the world around him becomes uncomfortable. Those above him feel the tremble beneath their feet. Those beside him envy the space he begins to occupy. And what is the first thing they tell him? Be humble. They don't say this because they want you to be good. They say this because they want you to stay down. Humility, in its rawest form, is the quiet burial of ambition. It is the encouragement of silence in those who should speak. It is the art of stepping backward while others walk forward because you were told it's noble to do so. Now imagine a prince, young, intelligent, ambitious. He begins to make decisions that shake the traditions of his court. He threatens the comfort of the old guard. Suddenly, his advisors, old men who have done little more than survive in their positions, begin to whisper, "You must remain humble." They say it with smiles, with warnings dressed as wisdom, because what they really mean is, make yourself small again, or we will make you small. You see, the powerful know one thing. The real threats do not announce themselves with arrogance. They rise quietly, and once they're noticed, it's already too late. So what does the system do? It builds a belief, a moral ideal, that if you want to be loved, you must never shine too brightly. If you want peace, you must not challenge anyone. If you want to be respected, you must show reverence, even when your instincts scream otherwise. This belief is not just enforced socially, it is embedded into religion, literature, and culture. Why? Because a humble population is a manageable population. Humble men don't rebel. They don't fight back. They don't dream of thrones. And Machiavelli understood this. He saw through the veil. He recognized that those in power feign humility only when it suits them, when they need to calm the public, to deceive rivals, or to appear harmless before a storm. But behind closed doors, they scheme, they conquer, and they destroy with precision. They are anything but humble. The mistake is not in appearing humble. The mistake is in being humble. When you live by humility as a principle, you become predictable. You become someone who won't take too much space, won't ask for too much attention, won't resist too much pressure. And the world eats you alive for it. You are the first to be overlooked, the last to be heard, and the easiest to control. Watch how the world treats the bold versus the meek. A man walks into a room with certainty, speaks with confidence, demands respect, and suddenly people listen. He is labeled charismatic, admirable, even powerful. Another man enters, modest, self-doubting, eager not to offend, and the room forgets he ever existed. Yet both may have equal intelligence, equal morality, equal worth, but only one of them understands what Machiavelli knew. In the theater of power, humility is not a virtue, it is a signal to the predator that you are prey. So when the crowd demands your humility, ask yourself, what are they protecting and from whom? Power, like fire, must be seen to be feared. It must be felt to be respected. And yet, so many ambitious men dim their own flame in the name of humility. They hide, they downplay their victories, they whisper when they should roar, and they wonder why no one listens. Machiavelli knew better. He understood something most men never dare to admit. The world doesn't reward those who are good, it rewards those who are visible. To lead, to influence, to rule, you must not only possess strength, you must project it. What is unseen is easily forgotten. What is quiet is easily dismissed. When you let humility dictate your presence, you are not being virtuous, you are committing political suicide. And no one will mourn your fall. They will not remember your kind heart, your quiet brilliance, or your noble restraint, because they never saw it. Look around. Who commands the room? Who gets chosen, followed, obeyed? Is it the man who waits patiently for recognition? Or is it the man who forces recognition simply by how he walks, speaks, and presents himself? A man who stands up, who speaks his name without hesitation, who allows his value to be seen without apology. He becomes an authority, not because he is better than others, but because he refuses to hide. The truth is this: your value is meaningless if it's invisible. Your potential is irrelevant if no one can feel it. If you're the most skilled warrior in a kingdom, but you keep your blade hidden and your voice low, no king will fear you. No army will follow you. You will die unknown, and the world will move on without ever knowing you existed. That is what humility does. It convinces great men to stay silent. It convinces capable minds to lower their heads. It teaches powerful people to wait for permission that will never come. But Machiavelli, cold and brilliant, cuts through the illusion. He would say, let them call you arrogant, let them say you are loud, let them call you proud. Those are the words of the envious. Those are the screams of the intimidated, and their discomfort is proof you are finally becoming real to them. You are stepping out of invisibility and into dominance because authority is not about titles, it is about perception. People follow not because they are told to, but because they believe in the power they see before them. A humble man may be wise, but if he cannot command a room, no one will hear his wisdom. A quiet genius may hold all the answers, but if he never asserts his presence, someone louder and less competent will be crowned in his place. You must understand this. If you do not define yourself, the world will define you, and it will define you small. It will label your silence as weakness. It will call your modesty a lack of confidence. It will put you in a corner and pretend that's where you chose to be. Visibility is power, attention is an influence, and if you do not claim it, someone else will take it and use it against you. They will use their volume to drown out your voice. They will use their presence to block your rise. And the worst part, you will think it's your fault. You will believe you just weren't good enough, when in truth, you simply weren't loud enough. Machiavelli never advised rulers to be meek. He never praised silence. He spoke of appearance, spectacle, image. Because he understood, people don't follow what's hidden, they follow what they can see, and this is the great lie of humility. It tricks you into thinking that value alone is enough. It is not. The world doesn't give you what you deserve. It gives you what you demand, and to demand anything, you must first be seen. Seen as powerful, seen as worthy, seen as undeniable, but the humble man rarely reaches that point, because long before he is recognized, he has already made himself invisible. There are two kinds of humility in this world, the kind you wear like a mask, and the kind you carry like a chain. One makes you dangerous, the other makes you disappear. And the difference between them is the difference between strategy and surrender. Machiavelli understood this distinction with brutal clarity. He knew that false humility is not weakness. It is performance. It is camouflage. It is the art of making others underestimate you, while you sharpen the knife behind your back. But true humility, the kind taught in churches and carved into your conscience, is something else entirely. That kind of humility is the slow erasure of your power, and worst of all, you will do it to yourself, believing it makes you good. When a man truly believes he must always be modest, always shrink his ambition, always apologize for his strength, he becomes his own jailer. He never needs to be silenced by others. He silences himself, and no one fears a man who silences himself. False humility, on the other hand, is a tool of cunning. The ruler who bows before the crowd may look submissive, but only to lower their guard. The general who credits his victories to his soldiers may seem selfless, but only to appear relatable while cementing his dominance. The strategist who pretends to doubt his own ideas may seem unsure, but only to draw out the overconfidence of his enemies. It is not a weakness, it is design, but here is the danger. Most people don't understand the game. They take the surface of humility and believe it's the whole story. They don't realize that the world's most powerful figures often appear humble not because they are, but because it benefits them. Because it is disarming, because it is persuasive, because it hides the blade. That's the trick. False humility protects the wolf by dressing him as a sheep. True humility turns the wolf into a sheep and leaves him surrounded by wolves. So ask yourself, when you downplay your talent, is it because you're positioning yourself, or because you're afraid of being seen? When you refuse praise, is it because you're calculating the moment to strike, or because you've been taught that accepting your strength makes you arrogant? Machiavelli would tell you if you're not using humility as a tool, you're being used by it. Because this world does not pause to appreciate quiet brilliance. It moves around it. It rewards those who not only know their value, but know how to use perception to manipulate that value in the eyes of others. And perception is everything. A man who appears harmless gains access. A man who appears modest earns trust. A man who downplays his ambition makes others comfortable enough to reveal theirs. And once he knows their intentions, he has the advantage. Because no one was guarding themselves from him, they believed his act, and now it's too late. But the man who is truly humble, he has no such leverage. He waits, he hopes. He believes virtue alone will deliver him. And by the time he realizes the game that's being played, the chairs are filled, the tables are set, and his name was never called. This is the cruel truth Machiavelli saw in every court, every council, every battlefield. That morality, when not paired with cunning, becomes a noose. That virtue, when not performed with strategy, becomes irrelevant. That humility, when not wielded like a blade, becomes a collar you put on yourself. And still, the world keeps teaching it, preaching it, selling it as the highest good. Why? Because nothing makes the powerful safer than a population that doesn't know how to use power. Nothing protects rulers more than subjects who feel guilty for wanting to rise. Nothing makes the throne more secure than a generation of men who believe self-sabotage is character. So false humility rises sharp, dangerous, effective, and true humility crumbles quietly, applauded by the very people who benefit from its defeat. Look closely at the world around you, not the world you were told existed, but the world as it truly is. Beneath the polished speeches, beneath the moral slogans, beneath the carefully staged acts of kindness, there is a battlefield. A quiet, relentless, bloody battlefield, one where dominance is worshipped, one where weakness is punished, one where being humble doesn't make you noble, it makes you prey. You may not see the wolves at first, because they don't howl or bare their teeth. They sit beside you in meetings. They nod while you speak. They smile when you succeed, but their eyes calculate. Their silence listens for flaws. And the moment you lower your guard, the moment you show them that you are hesitant, uncertain, unwilling to fully own your strength, they move. Machiavelli understood that man is not a moral creature by nature. He is an opportunist, he is a hunter of advantage. And when the scent of humility touches the air, he sees a target, not a friend, not a peer, a target. In the wild, it is the animal that lowers its head first that gets devoured. In politics, in business, in war, the same rule applies. Those who display vulnerability without leverage are not protected for their goodness. They are removed. Quietly, efficiently, forgotten. You see, humility is dangerous not because it is wrong, but because it is misused. When you bring it into a world that rewards domination, you signal something fatal. You signal that you are willing to lose. You signal that you can be talked over, walked around, pushed aside, and the wolves are always watching for that signal. Do not mistake the structure of society for the structure of safety. We are told that kindness is strength, that modesty builds respect, that being humble attracts loyalty, but this is only true if you already hold the power. The king can afford to be humble because he already has the crown. The general can afford to praise his troops because they already obey. But the man who has nothing, no status, no authority, no armor, cannot afford humility. It will not win him favor. It will only ensure he stays where he is. Machiavelli would say that people are moved not by the invisible virtues of others, but by fear, utility, and appearance. If you cannot instill fear, if you are not useful, and if your presence does not command attention, you will not survive the game. Not for long. You will be used as a stepping stone for those who are louder, bolder, more ruthless, and they will never look back. The world does not ask if you were kind, it asks if you were effective. The world does not ask if you were fair, it asks if you won. And while you lower your voice to avoid offense, others raise theirs to take territory that could have been yours. Influence that should have been yours. Opportunities that would have been yours, had you not mistaken the battlefield for a monastery. So many good men fall not because they lack skill, or value, or intelligence, but because they underestimated the cruelty of the system they were in. They thought they were surrounded by equals. They thought decency was enough. They thought waiting their turn would eventually be rewarded. And when it wasn't, they blamed themselves, not realizing that humility had been used as a leash from the beginning. This is why Machiavelli wrote for rulers, not for saints. He knew that power is not kind, it is not merciful, it is not moral, it is cold, it is competitive, it is carnivorous, and those who do not adapt are devoured by those who do. When you walk into the world with true humility, you are walking into a pack of wolves naked. You are hoping they will recognize your softness and show mercy. But wolves do not respect softness. They smell it, they test it, and once confirmed, they strike. The wise man does not play the game by moral fantasy. He studies nature, he studies man, and he understands that survival does not belong to the good. It belongs to the prepared. The visible, the fear, they are respected. And if he must wear humility, he wears it like a cloak, not like a shroud. Because in this world, those who bow too low are never seen standing again. You were taught that humility is a light, that it would guide you, that it would earn you love, protect your soul, open doors. But Machiavelli reveals a darker truth, a truth not taught in classrooms, not preached in temples, not rewarded by society because it threatens the very structure of control. Humility, when genuine, is not seen as virtue by the powerful. It is seen as permission to ignore you, to use you, to rise above you without resistance. It strips you of presence, of influence, of threat. You become safe, and what is safe in a world of ambition is disposable. But the wise do not discard humility entirely. They weaponize it. They cloak their ambition with modesty, their dominance with politeness, their vision with silence until the moment comes to strike. They are not truly humble. They are strategic. Machiavelli never told you to be cruel, but he warned you not to be naive. This world does not belong to the pure-hearted. It belongs to those who understand masks, perception, and timing. The man who survives is not the one who lowers his head. It's the one who learns when to fake it and when to rise without apology. So ask yourself now, have you been humble, or have you simply been afraid to take your place? Because in this world of wolves, those who wait quietly are not rewarded. They are eaten.